is how you could do your exercise in small little pieces, anywhere, anytime, any place, with very little equipment or no equipment, but also how you could actually turn your daily activities into an exercise. There's a lot of things that are exercises that you don't even realize it counts as exercise, or how to transform a task of daily living into an exercise, or mimic it, or whatever. This is something that's it's not an exact science. So a lot of it is improvisation by yourself. I've come up with ideas. I've been into exercise a long time, and I come up with a lot of interesting ideas to just fit exercise in to help myself be more mobile. The more you move during the day, the better it is. So, one advantage of this is if you fit in little bits of exercise all during the day, it'll help you stay loose and keep moving. But even if you're an advanced exerciser, some of the tips here too are time-saving tips. Because if you do a regular workout, but you can't get all those exercises in, maybe you'll pluck out 3 of those exercises, and 1 of them you'll do before lunch, and 2 of them you'll do before dinner, with like little 5-10 minute spurts. So I'm going to go into screen sharing now. I'm going to use presentation. This is like a regular PowerPoint, but I also have a document that's more like an article that I could share. That's better for reading purposes. So let me go into share. Share screen. And there's my PowerPoint. Okay, you all see that?
Perfect.
Okay, those are my credentials. I'm a certified personal trainer, a corrective exercise specialist. That's to help correct muscle imbalances and relieve pain and prevent injury. Senior fitness specialist, performance exercise specialist, that's sports training. BCS is a behavioral change specialist, that's helping motivate people and things like that. And neuromotor training, applies the most directly to Parkinson's. So exercise is medicine in the right doses. So we all know the benefits of exercise, and it's pretty significant. You could help, improve or get rid of certain symptoms, and you could slow the progression of symptoms, and possibly even slow progression of the disease. Overcoming certain barriers to get started and incorporating exercise into your schedule is something that you could leverage to get more out of your exercise. This term exercise snacking it's not a phrase I coined. Somebody told me that somebody was talking about it in another presentation, and he said he stole your idea. But I read about it. Must have been like 6 or 7 years ago in a New York Times article. That's where I first saw the term, and it just means taking your exercise in your exercise medicine in small doses, because some people can't fit it throughout the day, or they may not have enough energy, whatever reason.
It's a great term, Russ.
I'm sorry?
It's a great term. It's very appealing.
Yeah. I wish I had thought of that. It's a cool term. I like it. Yeah. I like using the word mobility and adaptation and funky words like that movement and fitness specialists like to use, because sometimes when you start talking about exercise and workouts, it gets so regimented and seems less targeted towards a specific thing. People just see a workout and they just decide they're going to plunk these 5 exercises together, and they may not be applicable to your situation. So your exercise should be applicable towards your goals and towards making you feel better, relieving the particular symptoms you have. So that's something to keep in mind. And I feel it's important to always adapt and observe your body. Try to understand how your body reacts to different situations and different movements. It's an important thing. Go to the next slide. So I say here perceived barriers to effective exercise, because often people think that, and this is where the first bullet comes in, lack of guidance and education. People think they can't do exercise, or they have, because of certain limitations. And there's a lot of different techniques that you could use, progression techniques, how to progress an exercise, how to make an exercise easier, how to challenge yourself safely, alternatives to exercise. So if you become educated on things like that, you could always reach out to somebody who's more experienced with it that might be able to help you. And you can break through some of these barriers. And some other barriers are not enough time, which I already mentioned. This is about, big part of this is about just fitting in exercise in a tight schedule, too tired, not feeling well, not convenient time-wise or location-wise. That's another like perceived barrier, because you don't necessarily have to always go out to the gym to get a workout. You could do it at home, or you could do exercises while your flight is delayed, or there's a lot of different things. I had a 2-hour flight delay once, and then I think I got in like 10,000 steps that day, even though I didn't do any planned exercise at all. Well, when it was delayed a little while, I actually decided a few times to go for a little bit of a brisk walk. But outside of that, it was that travel day. I didn't realize how much exercise there was in that, especially with a delay. Next. This is kind of just a reminder to keep things balanced. This guy, I think, has heard the term exercise snacking and kind of focused on the snacking part. So just a little. So what is exercise snacking? I mentioned short bouts of exercise. You could incorporate it into your daily schedule and into your daily tasks. I'll go over, the distinction between fitting in like a typical exercise, a traditional exercise, or you're doing a daily task and you're making an exercise. You can be done with little or no equipment. There's a lot of things you could use around the house. Use objects and structures at your disposal. Balls. I'll go over that. Balls, tops, things like that. You could do it anywhere, at home, on the go, at the gym. Some of these techniques, I'll mention some of the time-saving techniques will actually be at the gym. A lot of the reasons for using this technique, because you can't make it to the gym, but there's also time-saving techniques. You could do snacking at the gym as well, too. A lot of them are functional movements and easy to understand. So I'm going to talk about a lot of things that you just do normally in life, getting up and down from a chair, for example, or something like that. And it's you can make it creative and fun. And we'll give some examples of that. So this concept applies to many aspects of fitness, whether it's cardio, strength, balance, flexibility, mobility, agility training, doing multitasking and cognitive training. And then, they talk about a lot for fighting Parkinson's symptoms. Powerful reactive movements are good. So you could do little sports kind of things to work on your reaction and speed. One of the things that goes along with the exercise snacking is, as we know, Parkinson's is all about dopamine. And one thing that boosts dopamine is completing something on your to-do list, or completing, a small task. So if you're getting frustrated and you're not getting any exercise in, sometimes using exercise snacking will give you that added bonus. When you get the exercise done, you'll get a little nice, dopamine boost from it, besides the dopamine boost you get from the actual exercise. And it could enhance, exercise just in general can enhance the efficacy of levodopa. I know when I take my carbidopa levodopa, I kick in, the medicine kicks in better if I just pace around, do some sort of movement while it starts to do its magic and kick in. Sometimes if I just lay around, my muscles want to turn on, and the previous dose is wearing off, and then I start getting into trouble. I get I get a little bit contorted, and my body doesn't know what to do. So it's good. It's good to just try to keep moving, even if when you're a little off sometimes in between doses. And it's just an opportunity to try new and fun activities. Okay, so as I mentioned, you could use things around the house, chairs, the stairs, a wall, your body weight. So you don't need weights for a lot of exercise. You could put tape on the ground for targets. You make obstacles or make agility courses using some masking tape or painter's tape. Actually, a little tip on that is if you do decide to use like a masking tape type thing on the floor to make a little agility box or whatever, use painter's tape, because I think that's not as sticky. So if you, depending on what kind, I don't want anybody come away from this and they go ruin their floor, or rug, or whatever they're going to put the tape on. So I think the painter's tape, comes off easy. Or you could make like an agility ladder out of straps or bands or whatever that just lie on top of the floor. Blankets and towels you could use. I'll show you how to do like the equivalent of a battle rope thing, with just using blankets or towels. Other tools you could use: a weighted backpack or a drawstring bag. And I'll go through some of those too. When you often have a lot of different kinds of bags when you travel. You could actually use your suitcase or your backpack as an exercise tool. Countertops are good ways to do like modified push-ups. So instead of being all the way down on the ground, you can do it on a countertop or one of the stairs. And you take a stairway and you go like 4 stairs up, and you do a modified push-up that way. You could repurpose things that you have. You could use for weights. You could use a couple of cans of canned food or bottles of water, things like that. You can make your own equipment, walking poles. I'll show you some homemade walking poles I made, which are also good for assistive walking. If you're having trouble walking, you can use them as walking poles. Lightweight equipment. These are things that you actually purchase, but they're convenient. It's convenient to have, and you can put them anywhere in the house, because it's not like a big piece of equipment like bands or light weights. Go under the bed or a couch or whatever. An agility ladder. A boxing ball is, I could show you what that is later. They have different kinds of agility balls, but a boxing ball is it's like a rubber band kind of thing. Like if you remember the old paddles with the rubber band and the ball, and you hit the ball back and forth. That's what that is. And agility dots I'll show you what those are. Those are just targets you use on the floor to help with your walking stride, things like that. And balls, all different types of balls: tennis balls, basketballs, rubber balls. Kids, the kind of lightweight rubber balls that kids use, and Pilates ball, all sorts of things. Yes, that's an exercise. Daily activities as exercise. So some of these things seem silly, but you could, all through the day, you could work your motor skills in all sorts of activities. This morning, I was putting the dishes away, and as I was putting the dishes away, I was doing different cognitive skills. Like I was asking myself to list off top 10 favorite movies. And then there's another thing you could do where you could do recall. So I was recalling the directions to a town that I visit a lot, town of Huntington, from my house to the town of Huntington. You could do things like that. When shampooing, so these things are all silly, but they actually add to your motor skill development. when you're shampooing, you could move your hands in different patterns. So you turn your right hand, you turn your right hand clockwise and your left hand counterclockwise. Try to do that at the same time. Do them alternating, up and down, across. So you could now, when you start, as you go through this presentation, you may start thinking of things that you could do. You may be vacuuming and you're going under something. In addition to just bending over at the waist, you may actually want to go down for a little while, go down on your knees, or go get all the way down and vacuum that way. This way you have to get up and down from the ground. Brushing your teeth, actually. So for a while, I did a couple of things for a while. I should get back to it, see how I'm at it. But I was brushing my teeth every night. I was brushing my teeth with a manual toothbrush with my left hand, my non-dominant hand, and I was also doing handwriting. And I got pretty good with my non-dominant hand with handwriting. That's something you could just do anytime. Rolling, you could do rolling on the floor, watching TV from the floor. So sitting on the floor is an exercise. When you think of it, if you're sitting on the floor watching TV and you're watching an hour-long show, can you sit still? You usually fidget around, and as soon as you start fidgeting around, you're actually using more muscles than if you're just flopped on the couch. And then eventually you have to get up from the ground. You could maybe watch from the floor, and then every commercial you get up and down, something like that. Dance and rhythmic movement, just put on some music and start dancing. I like using that term, rhythmic movement. I actually teach a class, a dance and rhythmic movement class, and the non-dancers seem to get turned off when you just use the word dance. But rhythmic movement, means you could just you could do any exercise to music, and it enhances it a lot. So just even if you don't like to dance, you could put on some music and you could box to the beat, or you could just march in place, do jumping, everything. So many things you could just do to a beat. You could actually do the housework. If you're doing something around the house, you could do that to a beat too. If you're sweeping the floor or some sort of repetitive motion, you could actually do that to the beat. And you even if you observe in life, you're walking down the street, people move in rhythm. They don't even realize it. You see the guy sweeping in front of his store. You hear like he's doing it like an even rhythm. Or the guy, or you go to the where you get your tires, get new tires. When they put the tires on and off, when they use that gun, you hear that even patterns. So it's kind of fun. People do it and they don't even realize it. Just play. You can play all sorts of things, make up games, like the old patty cake kind of hand games with the kids. If you have the grandkids, roll around on the floor with them, do playful wrestling. That all uses your core and different muscles. You have to get down on the ground. Like I said, you have to get down. You'll have to get back up. Even skipping rocks, or all these kind of things. Think when you're somewhere. Sometimes if you just think of, well, why don't I just get up and do something, instead of sitting the whole time, So you're just hanging out at the beach, but then, maybe you'll go for a walk, and additionally, you'll skip some rocks if you like doing that, or whatever it might be. Yeah, board games and video games actually could be quite beneficial to your for coordination and motor skills. Because they're actually like an automated trainer. As you get better at the game, it'll keep challenging you. So we got one of those virtual reality headsets. I don't use it that often, but I've played ping pong, and then there's this lightsaber game, which you really have to react to it. So it's really good for balance. Actually, I almost lost my balance on the ping pong game because there's a virtual table there. And I went to go for a shot, and I put my hand down. I went to put my hand down on the table, and it went through the invisible table, and I almost took a dive. I forgot it wasn't real. Anyway. You know what? I'm going to start going through some of these examples. So now it's getting to the point now where we're going through examples. So I'm not going to read everything on the page. I'm just going to start talking about things. So I'll use this as a cue though. So this is doing exercise on the go, and I name specific things here. I'll start with the suitcase carry. So when you're carrying a suitcase, this is a great core exercise. I mean, everybody's got the wheels. This is the backpack here. But if you have like a carry-on bag, I'm not saying the whole time you're traveling through the airport or whatever that you have to carry it, but every now and then, instead of rolling it, pick up the bag in one hand and try to stand upright and walk with the bag in one hand. And then after a certain time period, switch hands. So you do it each side. This is an actual exercise that people do in the gym. They just carry like a kettlebell or a weight or a dumbbell on one side. But to stay upright, you're really using your cores, especially like your obliques on the side here. So if you stay nice and upright, look straight ahead, that's a great core exercise. And when you're sitting, there's a whole bunch of exercises you could do. If your headrest in your car or on the plane aligns nicely with where you could push your head against it, you could do repetitive pushbacks against the headrest. And if you feel a resistance there and these muscles back here getting exercised, that'll help keep in line the problem that people with Parkinson's have with that forward head posture. That'll help fight that. And you could just do that, and you might be able to do that in the car. But if you want to do it at home, you could put a pillow in back of your head or a ball of the right size, and you could push back your neck back there. There's a bunch of head and neck exercises that you could do, and that's another great one for doing on the go or just when you're hanging out doing something else. So eye tracking and visual acuity is very good for fall prevention. So if you have good visual acuity, you have good peripheral vision, you don't look down at your feet, that's a no-no. You try to look, always look straight forward and have a big view of everything so you could react to it and get familiar with your environment. If you rely too much of looking at your feet to walk, then you sort of destroy the skill of body awareness, called proprioception, the awareness of the relationship between your body and the ground and everything else around you. So one thing you could just do is practice like keeping your head just straight ahead, like you're watching a tennis match with just your eyeballs. So you practice looking back and forth, side to side. And I know when I first did this, some people will try it and they'll realize, wow, I can't do that. I haven't done it in a while. It didn't feel as easy as it normally did. But you could do that. You could also do neck and torso stretches by turning your head, but as you're turning it, lead with your eyes. Look with your eye and go back as far as you can. And go back the other way. Repeat that, do that 10 times each side. Another thing you could do is, that I do a lot, is when you're going out for a walk, again, this is great for fall prevention, because what happens sometimes when you fall, you get startled. Sometimes somebody gets in your way, you do one of these and you have to, and then there's all sorts of other stuff going on around you. So you have to be able to react to that. So what I do when I'm walking a lot of times is I'll walk and then I'll turn my head and I'll try to focus on something like, if I'm walking in the neighborhood, like a license plate on a car, and I'll try to actually read that. And then I'll turn the other way and look for something else. And that exercises the skill of proprioception, and it's a good fall prevention skill. So these are examples that I'm giving you where you're taking one activity and you could actually enhance it. you're actually doing an activity already. So that was an example with the walking, where the walking itself might not have been an exercise snack. It might have been a long walk, but the little piece I added to it, that's another thing I'm covering in this presentation, how you could actually get more bang for your buck out of one exercise by adding other pieces into it. You could do a bunch of different exercises while in a waiting area or in line or something like that. Just practice good posture. Stand up straight. Tuck your buttocks under. Get your head back. Everything should be in line. Your neck, shoulder, hips, and knees and toes. And knees and I guess ankles, I should say. But you should be upright. And then just look. You could just look straight ahead. There was one more neck one. That's good too. If you put your hands like this and tilt to the side and look straight ahead, this is actually best done lying on the floor. But if you hold this for 30 seconds each side and look straight ahead, when you get up, when you finish that exercise, your neck also feels a lot better. This is just a tip: social engagement and travel. When you go somewhere and they offer up, cornhole or whatever, a game or there's some activities, just try to say, oh, maybe I should get involved and put a little extra activity in. So just take advantage of, if you're at a party or a social event and they offer something like that, you could get a little. These are typical tips. Some of them you of course heard of. Try to find opportunities to walk more. Maybe like parking further away from wherever you drive to, or taking the stairs instead of the elevator. And it's good to whatever you do, it's good to have a variety of movement. So if you're just hanging out and you want to start moving. One good thing to do is in addition to moving straight forward, which is which a lot of exercises are, like walking and a chest press and things like that. Think of lateral movements and crisscross movements. And just the typical disclaimer, everybody be safe, understand what your limits are, either work with a professional, or if you don't feel comfortable with something, don't do it. Of course, safety is first. You got to ride that line, because they say you need to challenge yourself a little bit, so you change, but you don't want to go overboard. You could always work your way up. Yeah, and another tip on progressing, I like the saying, do it until you get it wrong. Sometimes people do exercise, they do it until you get it right method, which may not work, because if you're trying to do something and you do it really badly, then you might just be reinforcing bad movement. So what I'm suggesting is that you start off with an activity that's the activity that you want to do modified or related, that you could do well. And then you do that for a little while, and after a couple of sessions or whatever, a few days, a week, whatever it takes, depending on what you're working on, then you go up to the harder version of the exercise. If you try to do something that's just really feels impossible, and you're wobbling all over the place, and you don't feel safe, and you don't feel like your body is learning how to do it because it's just fighting itself, then you need to pull back and do a different type of movement. You guys can see the presentation, right? Okay. Because I was up on the screen too, so I just want to make sure that you see the presentation too. This is about mindfulness and focus. As I mentioned, just try to work on some tasks where you move different, and also add some challenge into everyday tasks. Just a quote from Tony Robbins: don't limit your challenges, challenge your limits. You need to challenge yourself a little bit to change. Okay, so now I'm going to go through some more things. A lot of stretches are certainly things you could do at any time, and you could do some of them. You could do seated right in your chair. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to kind of wing it now. I'm going to step back into the room here and look at all the different equipment I have and just go through a bunch of examples. I'd like to say that actually you folks inspired me today, because when I got up this morning, I decided I was going to document everything I do. So I spent a good part of the morning doing all different sort of exercise snacks in between getting my breakfast ready and taking medication and sorting out my pills and things like that. So I got in the morning. I got in a couple of brisk walks. I did my neck extension exercises to prevent the forward posture. I did some core work. I did a bunch of stuff. So I'm just going to go around and I'm going to show you some things that you could use around the house. So one thing is if you can't do a standard push-up, a lot of times what people will have you do is do a modified push-up on the floor where you're on your knees. But I prefer doing the same alignment in a push-up for every level, which is, your feet, your ankles, knees, and hips are all aligned straight with your torso, all in line. And you can use a countertop. So let's just pretend this ledge here. I don't know if you can see if that's still on camera. There's a ledge here. Let's pretend that's a countertop in the kitchen. And this is a lot easier to do a push-up than on the floor. So you can use that as a progression. And say that you're working up to trying to do 10 push-ups. Let's say if you could do 2 already. So what you do is you do 2 on the ground, and then you could do 8 on the counter. And then you might get to the point where you could do 3 on the ground, and then you do 7 on the counter. And that, what I just said there, is a typical progression strategy, and you could use that for a lot of things. If you can't get up from, if you're having trouble getting up and down from the ground or from a chair, you could progress by using a modified version. So if you're having trouble getting up and down from the chair a lot, instead of, you could do a few things. You could put your hand on the table to help you up, or you could go to something, if you're practicing it without using any assistance from your hand, you could go to something that's a little higher than a chair, like maybe the arm that comes out on a couch, and you just go down and you touch your butt. That's a lot easier because you don't have to go down as far. And then you keep going to lower height things that you touch your butt down to. So you got stairs too. So you could use, this is great for progression here because you could go up different levels. So you could come up high up here like this, and it gets harder as you go down. As I mentioned, you could use balls, all different types of balls. Balls are great for working your agility. And you could do things like somebody could drop a ball, and then you have to you could be holding a ball on each side, and they'll drop one, and you have to run over and you have to catch it after it bounces once. But if you don't have a partner, you could do something like this, where you drop it and you drop it on one side and you have to turn to get it. So you can see something like this is fall prevention, or you could hit it against the wall. Now, in the house, you don't want to be using like a real hard rubber ball or anything. You might hit a lamp or break something. So you could either find something really, I got these at a conference I was at. This is like really light and gushy, and I'm just hitting it actually against my sliding door there. So throwing a ball against the wall and catching it, either bouncing it on the ground or up in the air, is great for agility. Then you could add multitasking to that. If you want, you could throw the ball against the wall and step over a line. Then I could do that and count by sevens backwards, starting from 100. 93. I'll show, and there's another way you could create your own agility balls. This is real, this is like a real hack. This is just crumpled up newspaper, held together by tape, and you can put rubber bands on it too. Now what this does for you is it's an irregular shaped object. So this is a great fall prevention exercise. And you could throw it against a wall, and it's just made out of newspaper. So it's not going to dent anything. It's not going to mark anything up. And because of the irregular shape, it's going to go off to the side, and you have to react. So that's a great fall prevention exercise. Another thing you could do to work your muscles that is good for fall prevention and getting up from the ground is you take a bunch of objects that don't bounce all over the place. You could even do it with a deck of cards. Remember the old game? People used to say when you dropped a deck of cards, it was 52 pickup. So you drop a bunch of objects on the ground, and you have to walk and pick them up. So that's actually like a moving deadlift exercise. You pick it up, and you're actually straightening this leg out, and you're working your glutes. I'm talking about equipment. So you could purchase all different equipment that doesn't take up much room. These are one variety of exercise bands. These are called super bands. They're just like big rubber bands, and you can use them for different exercises. Hold them in all different ways. I'll give you examples. Probably when you buy the bands, it comes with a little booklet. These come in very handy. You can do a lot of different things with them. You could even attach them to a door, pinch them in a doorway, and put it around your waist, and you move to the side, and you get some resistance. Sports, if you like sports, you could just do little mini play things with sports. I have a bat, a foam bat, and a bunch of wiffle balls, and I just go in the yard and I hit the balls. I shoot baskets. They make training devices for all different sports like tennis and ping pong. It's like a little rubber band attached to the ball, and you could hit the ball, and it bounces on the ground and bounces back. That's great for reaction and keeping your motor skills sharp. For balance, sometimes people need walking sticks. You could just make your own. This is like a Home Depot special. These are like 1 7/8 inch in diameter, and I just got 1 inch bottoms, rubber bottoms for them. I actually got this idea from a physical therapist. Bettina knows her, Sarah. I think you were in some of those classes with her, if I remember correctly.
Sarah King. Yeah, Sarah King.
Sarah King, yeah. There's also around the house, you can do lots of stretches and muscle release, and there's a lot of great products for that. Now, those bands and everything were kind of cheap. Now I'm getting a little bit more pricey. So this is a great tool. It's called a Theragun. This one is called Hypervolt, actually. There's another one called Theragun, and it's actually a massage gun, and it's great. I always use this before, like I do a quad stretch. I work the muscles in my quad first, loosen them up, and then I do a quad stretch. But I have all sorts of little gadgets laying around the house, and you just pick them up and play with them. I have juggling balls. You could try to teach yourself to juggle. I'm just looking at the vibrating ball things, and I just want to bring this up with you because I don't know if you have anybody who's tremor dominant, but these are vibrating massage balls, and they're called Hyper Ice. Company's called Hyper Ice is the name of the company. I'm sorry, and these are Hyperspheres. There's a mini one, the small one, and this other one. The big one's about 5 inches, and this is about 3. But anyway, if you turn on these vibrating balls, and you have tremors, I don't know if you people heard, like they're working on a glove, a vibrating glove. It hasn't come to market yet or whatever, but I know for a fact that some people who have tremors, if they hold one of these vibrating balls for about like 10 minutes, it makes your tremor go away. So it's temporary, but it could last. It could hold for a good 2 hours or something like that. I used to do this when I went with Carl Sterling, and I helped him teach his Parkinson's regeneration training workshops. We used to use this with people show them how they could reduce their tremor. I just checked the time, 1:45. Let me see. I just want to see if I could think of more examples off the top of my head. There's all sorts of massage sticks too. You don't even need, you don't necessarily even need anything electric or anything. Here's a nice small one. It's just a roller, and it's got bumps on it, and you just roll it on your muscles. There's a lot of companies that make this. This is from a company called Naboso that specializes in neurotactile. I have a lot of their products actually. All their products have these little bumps on it, and it stimulates your nervous system. So they have insoles for the feet. If you put them in your shoes, and it feels like you have a little better nails. It actually helps improve your walking. Speaking of barefoot, that's another exercise snack that you can do. It's one I do every day. Is I usually I try to walk on different surfaces, and either in minimal footwear or my bare feet. The warning I'd like to give on if you don't normally walk in bare feet, if you want to switch to a more minimalist shoe or walking barefoot, do it a little at a time, because if you've been wearing cushiony supportive shoes and you go to less supportive shoes or barefoot, it's good that you'll be using those. The good thing about it is you'll be using those muscles that you haven't been used before, but you have to ease your way into it. So what I do is, the weather is, I only do this if the weather is above, I guess about 50 or above. But I go out and I do what's called grounding. I go out on my bare feet on the nice dewy lawn, and I walk and just do some stretches. I do like a triangle pose, some yoga poses and things on the, it's called earthing or grounding. I do that on the grass, and your feet react to vibration in the earth, and also in the earth there's all sorts of there's electrical charge to it, because there's minerals, metals in the ground and everything. So everything's supposed to be good for your health. I don't know the exact, and I could explain the exact science of it, but that's something I do. But additionally, I also walk on rough surfaces, because that stimulates the bottom of your feet, and your feet are very important for reacting to the ground and helping you walk. So I have a driveway that's it's blacktop, but it's not sealed, so a lot of little pointy pebbles are coming through. And when I first walked on there with my bare feet, it was really hard. It felt like I was being stabbed in the bottom of the feet, but I got used to that, so it's kind of cool now. I walk on that, and it's very stimulating. So you could buy mats that you could do that on too. I have one. So that's another thing. Finger and hand exercises, you don't need any equipment for that. You could do these where you touch your thumb to each finger, forward and back, you know, so thumb to pinky, then to the next finger, forefinger, and then go back. You could reach out like this, turn for your forearms. So there's a bunch of exercises you could do for that. I'm going to start populating my YouTube page more. It's called Russ Parker Mind Body Mojo. I'm going to be putting more exercise out there, so you'll see some of these things out on my YouTube channel. Oh, let me show you friction massage. So I'm trying to show you things you could do to fit exercise in the day, but I'm also trying to show you some new things that could actually enhance your mobility, and you could do anytime to make yourself feel better. So I'd like you to try this along with me. First, do a couple of movements to see how they feel. See how you feel squatting down and coming up. You know, just touch your butt to a seat or about that height. Just notice how that feels. And then in addition to that, try doing you know, touching your toes and then coming up and see how that feels. Now we're going to do a little limbering up, not even doing any stretching. This is going to be friction massage. So you're going to kind of take your hand like this. You're going to use the second after your fingertips, the next row of you know, you're going to use your knuckles there. And we're going to start at the collarbone. And you're actually going to rub like friction on the collarbone, pull up and down the collarbone, and come in back of it a little bit. Now go to the shoulder. So you're creating some heat here. Now do the other side. Now let's go to the hips. You're going to get on the bony structures. So get actually right on the bone. Where the bones are, where the points are that you're hitting here with the bones, there's a lot of ligament attachments, and tendons and ligaments don't have good blood flow to them. So get all around your hip and your back, on your pelvis, tailbone. Sit down. Now you're going to do the knees. And this works good actually if you're wearing, it doesn't have to be your knuckles. You could use your palms on this one. But if you wear nylon pants, it works good. It generates a lot of heat. Now come to the front of the knee. You could use your fingertips. And do the ankle all around whatever you could reach in there. Use your finger all around. Okay, now just try to do your squat again. You may or may not feel a difference, but I feel a little better. Did anybody notice a difference? I went through it quick. So that's something you could do as well. I'm looking to see what other examples I have. So leg exercises. Legs are really important. And there's a lot of exercises that can be pretty challenging without any weight. So you could use the step. I mentioned using the steps. I was showing a push-up, but you could do a step-up exercise on a step. You step up, come back down, and start with one side. The next progression for this, balance-wise, is a step up to balance. So you step up, and then you keep one foot in the air for a second, and then come down. And then you always have the wall or a railing here, so you can feel safe if you want to stand up. And then you switch to the other side. So you could do 10, 15, 20 each side. And I'm going to combine me talking about leg exercises with cardio too. So if you do single leg exercises, let's say I'm going to do 15 to 20 reps, to do one set, say if you're doing all the way up to 15 repetitions, you're actually going to be doing 40 repetitions just for one set on your leg, because you're going to do 20 on your right, 20 on your left. So if you're relying on your cardio equipment in the gym, treadmill, whatever it is, and you can't get there, you could actually get some good cardio in by doing a mixed routine. You could alternate between upper and lower body, or body parts that aren't using the same muscle. And you could really get a big, good bang for your exercise buck because you could get cardio and strengthening in all in one shot. So what you do is you do, I do some step ups there, then I do something with my arms. I could do, it could either be strengthening, or it could be like it could be a fast movement. So you could do something called wall push aways, where you stay next to a wall and you just push away like this, and do that for about 30 seconds. So now I alternated that with leg exercise. Now I go back to something else that might be done with the legs. So I could do a walking lunge. And then maybe next time I get around to legs, I'll jump up and down on my calves, or raise up and down on my calves. There's a great exercise that you could really get your heart pumping. Let's try this. I'm going to put a timer on for 30 seconds. This is only 30 seconds, and you'll probably feel your heart raise. Timer, stopwatch. Okay. This is what you're going to do. I'm going to say, ready, go. And you're just going to pump your arms like this as fast as you can. Okay. And go. Keep going until I say stop. Keep going. That's 10. Pump those arms. Ten more seconds. Pump them. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Should have got your heart rate up a little bit. A minute definitely would have done it. So that's an example of actually how you could get your heart rate going with little or no equipment. I'll show you how to use some things for weights. I got a few examples here. These are just soda bottles filled with water almost all the way up. And you can use that arm pump I just showed. You could even add weight to it. So, and you get a little audio feedback from the water swishing around. I find this actually very stimulative to my nervous system. What I do as one of my daily exercises to kind of wake things up is I take one bottle, hold it in 2 hands. I just call this the bottle shake. And you have to really concentrate, especially if your medication is not on. And I'm going to shake it 100 times. I do 20. I count 20 to myself, and then I do that 5 times. So what you got to do is you shake it like this, but you got to try to keep it a nice, even rhythm. When I'm off, it kind of like gets stuck. But when I get a rhythm going, I feel great after I do that. For some reason, it just lights up my nervous system, because especially if you're having a little trouble with it, you really have to concentrate. So it's really working your brain. My brain is really working hard to say, go up and down evenly. You know, don't let it stop or get stuck. So that's pretty cool. You can use any of these things for weights. I got a couple of cans of beans here. Cannellini beans. I think red beans would work just as well, but you could use these as weights. Now, you think, you know, this only weighs, you know, a pound or a pound and a half. What can you do with that? But there are exercises you could do. Shoulder health. You could do a shoulder fly routine. What you would do is you do a front raise. So you just raise them up like this, come down to the side, and do a side raise. Front, side, front, side. Now, if you do that like 20 times, 10 times each side, or even more, it's going to nicely build some stability in your shoulder. Even though you're using light weight, it'll help. It'll get the blood circulating, it gets the muscles contracted. It's enough. I'm going to do another. You saw how just that simple arm pump gave you cardio. Now I'm going to show you another exercise that I think is pretty cool because you need no equipment and you'll actually feel it after you're done. So this is called YTA, and it's a shoulder exercise, and there's 3 movements in it. So if you can, if you can do this standing up, if not, sit down, and also try to bend over a little bit at the waist. So the first movement, your hands are going to come up like a Y. Now, every time you come up with one of these movements, I want you to really pinch those shoulder blades back. Okay, so that's the Y. Then you come down, and then you're going to go T, straight out, right? Then you come down again, and then go A. So do this along with me. We're going to do 10 rounds. Here's 2, Y, come down, T, A. Y, T, A. Maybe we'll do a little bit less. Y, T, we'll just do it until you feel it. A. Y, T, A. Really pinch it back. Let's do 2 more. Y, down, T, A. 1 more. Y, pinch him back. A. Did you feel it? Anybody who try that? I don't know if you felt that in your shoulders. But as you can see, there's a lot of different exercises you could do without any equipment at all. There's like I said, you could add cognitive work to agility tasks, or even just a task you're doing around the house. You could spell words backwards, count by 7s or 3s. I mentioned practicing your favorites. I find a good time slot, you could pick your own. I find a good time slot to get in quick exercises right before a meal for a couple of good reasons. You should be able to spare, 5-10 minutes right before just to get a quick exercise. And you could even do a difficult version of a plank that you'd only have to hold, like a single arm plank. You only have to hold 30 seconds each side. So that's one exercise right there. You could do squats. Right by the table, right before you're about to eat. Now, another advantage of that is exercising right before you eat. Then you replenish you get your nutrition right after you've exercised, so that's good too. There's all sorts of other. I have a lot of things in this. I can't go over all of it. On the page that's up there now, I talk about using a peripheral heart action workout. I demonstrated that already, where I talked about how you alternate between like upper body, and you can use multiple muscle groups. That's what that is. There's a special workout called a 20 rep workout. I'll go through that. Always make time for relaxation, meditation, breathing. I guess we'll be wrapping up soon, so if you want to think of any questions. Regular exercise will help you move better, enhance your quality of life. Studies show that. If you can't get in a full workout, this is a great technique to use, because you could put things in small doses, and you'll get more bang for your buck with the exercise. I hope you got the impression that this is something doable and something that you could use. It's you don't have to do necessarily do anything that I mentioned in this presentation, but hopefully the concept is something that might resonate with you, and you'll think of possible ways you could more consistently get your exercise in more effectively, and get more improvement of your symptoms, just by being aware that you can do all these different things. So I just wanted to mention one of my favorite exercises, and it's called a counterweight squat. This is the reason that this is one of my favorite exercises is because it works a lot of the muscles that are good for preventing typical Parkinson's problems like forward lean and that whole tendency for the body to fall forward. And you could use a counterweight in different ways. But the idea is when you do a squat, again, a squat is a good indication of how you move. If you have to bend over the weight just to down, then it probably means your glutes are not strong enough, because if your glutes were strong enough, you could get back and be more upright and they'll hold you upright. So what you do to get to that point is you use a counterweight. So what some people do when there's a counter or hold on to a chair or something like that, they put their hands on top to help them squat, which helps some. But what works even better is if you could pull up on the lip of the counter, or I got my hands in the slats of the chair like this, and as you go down, you're pulling up. And what this is doing is creating a counterweight, sort of like a seesaw. So the weight of the person on the other side, like a seesaw, is allowing me to get down more and exert more muscular pressure from my glutes. And those are muscles that are important to work for posture and avoiding forward lean. And the other reason I like this exercise is it also acts as a flexibility exercise. So what people often need is stronger gluteal muscles, which I just mentioned, but they also need flexibility in their ankles. A lot of times people with walking problems don't have good flexibility in their ankles, and that's flexing it up like this, like you're pulling your toes up towards your knee. So this sort of acts as an ankle, could act as an ankle flexibility exercise too, because when you get down, you kind of do one of these shimmy back and forth and work on your ankle flexibility. So it's a real good exercise for mobility. And you could also use as a counterweight, instead of holding onto the counter, you could actually use weights. So I got my soup cans here or whatever, where you just pull up on the weights as you come down. It helps you get down lower. Okay, so I just wanted to mention that. And that's pretty much it. I just wanted to give you the general idea. I just noticed one more thing that I want to mention. One more thing you can use around the house: blankets and towels. Because I've used this one a lot, so I want to mention it. So you could take, these are small towels, but you could take a big blanket and you could simulate, if you've ever heard of the ropes, battling ropes in the gym, where you take the ropes and you go like this. So you could do this with 2 heavy beach towels. You could also take a big blanket and go like this. It creates a lot of resistance. Be surprised. The more you fold it up and the bulkier it is, the more resistance it will be. But also what you could use these for is you could put them, well, you could do it on a wall or the ground. You could use them to do different exercises. So your hands could slide. Put them on your feet. And you could do mountain climbers. You could do core exercise. Work your core, pull your core. And if you want to do this on a carpet, instead of using towels, you could use like a disposable plastic plates. So I just wanted to show you one more thing using stuff around the house. And that's it.
Those are
Thank you,
awesome.
Russ.
That was an awesome bunch of exercises you just did in the last 20 seconds.
Well,
Thank
thank you,
you,
and I
Russ.
hope,
I
like
thought
I said, I hope you got the general concept too, because you could be creative with it. You could do whatever you want. Just
Thank
keep
you.
moving.
Thank you for your presentation. Honestly, it's a lot of good ideas. What we can do at home, we can do. I would like to add, when I used to go to the market, I put the shopping cart away. in the right place should be. It's a good exercise. The other one is that when you go to the market, try to walk all the aisles with the shopping cart. It's
Yeah,
at
it's
least
good.
30 minutes, 35 minutes. You are walking inside the market. You want to do more exercise, you can pick it up something for the aisle, put it down, put it up, put it down. So it's an idea that I do in the morning because I don't like to walk outside. So I have no excuse for what to walk inside the market or inside the mall, right? Inside the store that
Yeah.
you like it. Russ, thank you very much for your time. A question. Somebody have a question, comments?
My pleasure.
Okay, let's Tracy, you got any comment question?
I thought it was fascinating, actually. And the huge takeaway about being creative, Russ, and shame on us if we're not. If we sit here and say, I can't exercise because I can't get to the gym, or I don't have the right clothes, or I don't have any equipment. I'm sitting with exercise bands in the drawer next to me at my desk, and I never get out and use them. So I think
Yeah.
you've spurred me to action.
Well, I'm glad that you know, it had some impact on you. That's great. I'm so happy to hear that. I'm just a little bit about myself. I'm actually going through a transitional period now. I decided I had a lot of elderly clients who didn't even want to do Zoom when COVID happened. So I actually lost those clients, and I went through a period where I didn't have a lot of personal training clients. And I thought to myself, you know, my wife is just retired and everything, that I wanted to start doing some stuff that would still help other people, but I could kind of do it more on my own schedule. You know, when you're personal training, you got to go off everybody else's schedules. So I might still do some group training, which would be like once a week or whatever. But I'm going to be producing more videos and documentation and stuff. So you'll see more stuff like this from me. I have a YouTube channel. It's called, just search on Russ Parker, Mind Body, all one word. You should find that. It's called Russ Parker Mind Body Mojo, and I think the Facebook group is called that as well. I'm just starting to populate that. I'm involved with a lot of things. I'm probably going to resurrect a dance class that I taught. So
I
I'm
think
hoping
Susan
I
has
could
a comment or
contribute to
question.
education.
I think Susan has a comment or question. Susan?
I just kind of wanted to second what Tracy said. Russ, this was chock-a-block full of amazing number of details, but they're all simple and practical. And because there are so many, I am really grateful you're going to populate these slides into your YouTube channel eventually, because many things I will remember and many I will have forgotten.
Yeah, there's on that YouTube channel, there already is some stuff like I put one out there about shows me walking through the street doing the thing where I look different ways and how to use targets. I mean, there's a lot of things I didn't mention today. I didn't mention using targets on the floor for walking, but that's out there on my video.
Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot. I have
It's
to
a
hop,
great
but
thing.
that was really terrific learning.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Yeah.
Good seeing you.
Good seeing you.
I would like to add a PS to mine because I take a lot of classes, and I would take a Zoom class with you, Russ. But it means a lot that you understand where we're coming from and you are dealing with the same issues. And I get a little tired of people that have no understanding and they pretend they do.
Yeah.
So
Thank you for that. There are some good folks out there too, though. That I'll say it's a mix. I understand where you're coming from. It's definitely
All
a
right.
mix. I wanted to mention some books. So I saw there's a Candace out there, but I don't know if it's the same Candace. But I have Candace Cox's book. I don't know if it looks like it's spelled differently, but this is called Living Daily by Candace Cox. There's similar ideas in here about it uses something called the Alexander technique. Okay,
Sorry
yeah,
about
yeah. So this Living Daily talks about a lot of these ideas about you know, how to do exercises that correlate to tasks of daily living, so that's good. And then there's Carl Sterling's books. He's got Parkinson's regeneration training. And just a disclosure here, I contributed a couple of chapters, but I'm not not plugging myself. I didn't make any money from the articles, but and Parkinson's empowerment training. But this Parkinson's regeneration training is chock full of all sorts of Parkinson's exercise stuff. So I just wanted to mention that
make
as
sure
well.
put those book in our group. Make sure post the all the information.
Yeah,
The book. Okay.
I'll do that. Yeah.
All the information. No more comment questions. I don't know, Luan, Bettina, Rosie, Pete. No more comment questions. All right.
Well, my yeah,
Russell.
well, I'll post yeah, I could post the books and the presentation and my emails in the presentation. So once you get the
Yes.
get that, if you have any questions, you can follow up. My email will be in there. If you just go to the group for that. If not, if you're not in the group, you could join. It seems like a great group. Just starting to view more in it now. I belong to a whole bunch of groups, but thank you for having me, Jose. Appreciate it.
No, thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your idea. Fantastic idea, honestly. No excuses, lady, no excuses, guy. Let's go to do some exercise today. I don't like to clean the car. A good idea also clean the car. Wash your car outside, right? It's a good idea too. Clean your window, your house. Many ideas. It's no excuse for honestly, Russell, you today you opened my mind. No excuse. It's a lot of exercise we can do anytime. Annie, you want to say something? Please.
Oh yeah, I just want to say a big thank you. I've been dealing with a frozen shoulder since July, and I think almost done with my actual physical therapy stuff. It's doing better. But you just showed me like a whole a whole bunch of stuff that I don't do in physical therapy. But a lot of things were similar. So knowing I can still do the kind of the same stuff I'm doing there here at home to keep it from getting frozen again.
Yeah, that's great. One thing I want to do is bring up those kind of things that people like don't think of, or you see, you don't see them in the standard run-of-the-mill exercise instruction. So, and one thing I like to say about physical therapy and injuries and that kind of thing is that that's another good thing to add to your list. Usually when you have an injury, they usually send you home with a sheet of exercises. If you have an injury or something that's susceptible to an injury, that's another good exercise snacking thing. Your physical therapy exercises, keep that paper, because one of the top indicators of you having a risk to a certain part of your body is a previous injury. So the big mistake people make is they take that word rehab too literally. Rehab to them means I feel good now. I don't have to do the exercise anymore. My stance on it is if you have an area that's been injured and it's susceptible, you should be constantly trying to make that the strongest part of your body. My back used to go out all the time. And then I started doing, like some people just say, well, I got to be tender with it. I got to massage it. I got to relax it. I do the opposite. I do back extensions and all sorts of exercise in that area. And my back has been great for a long time. So that's another thing to, add to your list, your physical therapy exercise. If you had an injury before, if you baby it, you want to be safe, but try to keep those areas strong. As long as you're not hurting yourself, you'll be preventing, further injury.
Great advice.
Okay, thank you, Russell.
You're welcome.
Time is precious. You know that time really precious. So we cannot buy time, but we get a lot of information today. And then Russell is your home, so you're welcome anytime. Come back to give more ideas about what you do. Thank you for what you do for us. I really appreciate that. And then everybody, see you next Saturday, 9 a.m. Pacific time.
Thank you. Keep
Thank you.
moving,
Bye, guys.
everybody.
Bye.
Congratulations.
Take care.
Mhm.